and I tried to eat this girl out while she was standing up.
Hot.
So I like going down her, and I like tried it, and then logistically I couldn't get like in there.
And okay, walk me through it. So because she was just
So
she like didn't part her legs.
No.
Yeah, that would. Yeah.
And I thought,
and you were like,
and there was no really place for her to prop her leg up. She could have propped it on my shoulder. Obviously, I have all these ideas now, but I wasn't.
No.
At the
In the
time,
moment.
I had limited sexual experiences. I had never had like penetrative sex. I was just like, I was so at the beginning of my journey, so I didn't have these ideas logistically about how like bodies could like angles wise.
Yeah, how could you?
But I remember asking her, I was like, wait, is this like even possible? And she's like, yeah, I've seen it before. The next time that I saw her during the night, I was eating tortilla chips and cold chili that we had eaten for dinner.
Nice.
And she was like, hey, did you want to still... And I remember I had a tortilla chip full of chili like this, and I was like, no, probably not. I think comedy's at the opposite end of the arts. We haven't been recording this whole time.
Well, I'll tell you something. We were recording on the camera, but I forgot to press record on the fucking audio. It's fine. We'll work. Everyone, hey, it's Hannah. We have Hannah Jones.
Are we recording now?
What? Yeah. It's amazing. And you know what? It doesn't matter because now we're on a roll. You know, usually you just cut the first 10 minutes of the podcast anyway because it was the most giving boring you gold part. You did give me great gold. And maybe we'll figure out a way to cut it with the audio from the
No, dude, don't worry about it. It's literally so fine.
But yeah, you know what? We're here on the road. We're in an Airbnb.
Hi guys, my name's Hannah Jones.
Yes. Hannah Jones is a very famous comedian on TikTok and Instagram. Well, your stuff is amazing, and okay, we'll just do a little bit of backtrack. We met at Comedy Works in Denver.
Yeah.
But wonderful venue. I was there sitting in the back and I was like, one day I'm gonna fucking sell out Comedy Works.
Fuck yeah.
We'll see. That's like my manifesting. Yeah, it was a really cool space. And then we also did a show together at a bar, and
kind of the opposite of Comedy Works.
Literally.
No one is interested in kicking out the people who are chatting too much.
Yeah, nobody wanted to laugh, but you made them laugh.
Thank you so much.
It
was a
like
kind of like
laughter.
fun but challenging show.
Yeah,
is how I would describe it.
Yeah. But like to make people laugh for 35 minutes because you had was it like 35 or 40?
I think I did 30.
Oh, 30. Oh, Ivan. To make people laugh for 30 minutes. I mean, yeah, that's really hard to like do it consistently.
It's making people laugh for 30 minutes is not as hard. Have you ever bombed for 50y minutes?
No, have you?
Yeah.
No way.
Absolute late show, Des Moines, story. February. Oh God.
You have it, yeah. Ready?
God, that late show. So and this is the first time I had ever headlined a club. Mm-hmm. So I had done 45 a few times in town, but I had never done it in another city. And at the time, 45 for me meant that I was just doing all my material. No real room to pivot. And I got brought out to Des Moines to do a very fun Valentine's Day show. And it was so much fun. The early show sold out. Absolutely phenomenal.
So you did both?
Yes.
Oh,
and
nice.
then the late show that night. Smaller crowd, totally fine. But this particular smaller crowd was like... So everyone was either sober or wasted. Everyone in the crowd. No one was at a comfortable medium. Mm-hmm. It's also like 10 p.m. in Des Moines, so it's like the only thing that's still happening.
Right.
And it was
And people don't go out past 9:30 in Des Moines. I've never been to Des Moines.
It's fun.
I hear there's nothing to do.
The people who brought me out there are so many people who are cool there, but they just weren't in the late show audience.
Yep.
There was this couple that was insanely wasted, and they were at the late show, and they were kind of being disruptive. And normally I would not really try to make that a part of my set, but the problem was that I just wasn't really getting laughs from material. The only laughs I was getting was from kind of like being aggressive toward them. And so it was like, okay, well, and then they got more aggressive because that's what happened. They're like, I like this, I'm a part of the show now. They got more aggressive, and then after the show they ended up sticking around, and I think they thought they were like whispering to each other, but they were ultimately quite loudly speaking about how to get me to have a threesome with them.
Nice. That's so great.
And we
love threesome talk
really in my like personal space and stuff, and I ended up having to get like walked to my Uber.
Okay, that part's not as fun. Yeah,
it was like a little scary.
Were they
but
not attract? Like, would you have had a threesome with them if they were not drunk and creepy? Have you ever had a threesome?
Yes. Well, no, I've only had a foursome.
Oh, okay. Mic drop.
I always, in my mind, it registers as threesome because it was gonna be a threesome, and then there was a fourth person there.
That's
which
so
ended up
fun.
being better tactically, because what happened I only joined the situation because one person I wanted to hook up with was in the situation. Ooh. And with a foursome, it's like really easy to turn it into two twosomes.
Yes, that's why I don't like foursomes.
Like, it was at a group party situation in college, and so we changed location, and then it was a twosome, and it was easy peasy.
So
and
I tried to.
Oh, not really, because I ended up trying to. I was like, let's go out onto the dock. We were at this big lake house where everyone was like partying, my college fraternity. And I was like, let's go out onto the dock. And I tried to eat this girl out while she was standing up.
Hot.
So I like going down her, and I like tried it. And then logistically, I couldn't get like in there.
And okay, walk me through it. So because she was just so she like didn't part her legs.
No.
Yeah, that would. Yeah.
And I thought,
and you were like,
and there was no really place for her to prop her leg up. She could have propped it on my shoulder. Obviously, I have all these ideas now, but I wasn't at the time. I had limited sexual experiences. I had never had like penetrative sex. I was just like, I was so at the beginning of my journey, so I didn't have these ideas logistically about how like bodies could like angles wise.
Yeah, how could you?
But I remember asking her, I was like, wait, is this like even possible? And she's like, yeah, I've seen it before. I'm like, okay, yeah.
You're like in the middle of going down on her. You're like, can I do this?
And then we ended up like parting ways for a bit and like coming together. And for context, there was a lot of drugs involved. So it was like not like a lot of hard drugs, but I think where there was acid involved and like some alcohol and stuff. So when I remember the next time that I saw her during the night, I was eating tortilla chips and cold chili that we had eaten for dinner.
Nice.
And she was like, hey, did you want to still... And I remember I had a tortilla chip full of chili like this, and I was like, no, probably not.
You just need to get her into the tortilla chip and start eating her. Get that? Yeah.
So that's my story.
That's a great foursome story.
Oh, to answer the question about this couple, if they had been like normal people, would I have wanted to have a threesome with them? No, I was in monogamy at the time, but if I was not in monogamy at the time, would I theoretically have had a threesome with people after the show? Probably not after that show because I bombed. But if I had crushed really hard and had like the most insanely fun experience, and they were like really my type and had a cool vibe, and I wasn't in a monogamous commitment,
lots of conditions, but
quite possibly,
But I hear all the conditions and they all make
I also
sense.
had an early flight, so it was just...
Have you ever hooked up with a fan after a show?
I'm
sure.
Not after a show specifically, but yeah, the last time that I was single was the first time that I was single and had some visibility on the internet, and I was like, fuck dating apps. And I was like, I'm only fucking fans from now on.
I love that.
Because it just felt like something a man would do.
Yes.
I always said I was in my male comedian era.
Oh my God, I love that. I want to be in that. Do you like, you can just go on the road and like fuck random. Well, now you're in a relationship, which we'll talk about.
Yeah. No, so I'm super serious about my monogamous commitment. No. But but I don't slide into DMs because I just don't like initiating. I just really like to be pursued. It's like the main thing I'm attracted to is the idea of someone like really liking me, and that's good. That's like been very self-protective. I don't end up in like shitty partnerships because if someone's not like super into me, I'm just out.
Yeah.
But for me, if I have to initiate, and especially I think this is the reason why I don't tend to date as many women as I would realistically like to, is that like
they don't chase you.
Yeah,
that's real,
and that's just a non-negotiable for me in a relationship.
It's so interesting because I feel like I dated men for a long time, and when I first started dating women, I also felt like nothing was happening because like they weren't really chasing me. But I think with comedy, I'm having a lot more women chase me.
Yeah, I also have had that happen.
Which, yeah.
I wonder
I'm not complaining about it, but yeah.
And I really hate the idea of like overlaying a heterosexual vibe onto a queer relationship. Like that's not cool, and that's not what I'm trying to do. But I will say that when I was dating women, and especially if I was dating more femme women, a dynamic would be presented where like I didn't feel like I got to be the version of myself, the like super femme version of myself that I like to be in a relationship. And specifically because I have had short hair a lot of times, and I have almost felt like it is expected for me to play this like more mask role.
No, that's so real.
And I'm like, oh, that's not who I am. I just have short hair because I have sensory issues with my hair. And I have to shave it every couple of years. That's it.
Yeah.
But like you're getting the impression that I'm gonna like initiate stuff.
Right. Yeah. No, that's so real.
And it's like, but I just don't look high femme enough for people to expect that that's my vibe.
The mask thing.
Yeah. I think it also has to do with my energy and way of speaking and way of sitting and stuff.
Well, you're also like a stand-up comedian, which is
such a masculine thing to be.
Yeah, it's rough. But no, you have a great joke about dating women in your act about like, oh, now I have to like date someone with a crystal collection, and like she has to be right in the fights. I'm butchering it, but like it's so funny. I think that one's online, right?
The idea is just like losing a fight to a girl with a crystal collection is a particular kind of humiliation, because if you're dating men, you don't lose fights, right? If you're dating women, you'll lose probably half of them. That's how it fucking works, because they'll be right some of the time. Because dating a man, for the most part, 90% of the time is, my friend has a husband, and she always says heterosexual relationships are just teaching a robot how to feel.
Oh, that's so terrible to me. It's
interesting because I hear a lot of
Okay, and how have you had that experience?
Yeah, I had been to a lot more therapy than him. He had a lot of unprocessed traumas through his life, and let me be clear, I would never be willing to be a caretaker for someone or take on the responsibility of emotionally ushering them through life. No, absolutely not. But when it comes to the fact that like I'm a more emotionally intelligent person than average, a lot of that has come from all the years of therapy that I've done. It's also like a special interest of mine, psychology. I almost went to grad school to be a therapist. If I can like teach someone about the language of therapy and about how to better communicate their emotions effectively, like that feels great. That's like me bringing my strengths to the table, and he brings his strengths to the table,
which are what?
He's like incredibly good at, he's incredibly calm, he's incredibly good at having perspective. I always say that like, especially with comedy, he makes me feel braver because he just gives me this like space to be absolutely whoever I want to be and not feel like I would ever be ridiculed for it. But yeah,
versus women are gonna make fun of you in a relationship.
He makes the rest of like some people will.
Yeah.
He is just specifically a person who's extremely encouraging.
Does he do stand up?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, he's done for like a year and a half. So he's a much younger comic than I am.
Yes, but you inspired him to be a comic.
Well, it's funny because I didn't. He moved to Denver because he had heard about Comedy Works on a bunch of podcasts.
Yes,
a bunch of like boy podcasts that I don't listen to. Yeah,
that's so funny.
And he started working at Comedy Works, and then his first night up at New Talent Night.
That's how I kept hearing about Comedy Works on podcasts.
Yeah,
like boy podcasts, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and I I just don't listen to that shit.
I love
so
a boy podcast.
Like, okay.
I want to know what boy podcast your boy is listening to.
No, because I don't. Yeah, he loves Tuesdays with Stories and like. Here's the thing. I decided when I got out of college, because I graduated with an English major, I decided that I had simply absorbed enough of the male perspective.
Yeah, and I'm sure we
read enough books written by men. I've listened to enough movies listened by men. Like, I have done it all. It's a lifetime's worth, and if I never hear from a man again, I will have learned enough about that. And men get so, when I say that to them, they're like, what if I told you I wasn't going to read books by women? It's like, well, if you had read all books by women throughout an entire K through 12 and college English degree, you had read almost exclusively books by women, I would say, yeah, you're done. You've done your job. Yeah. You've got the female perspective down.
No, but it's also so funny how like sensitive men get about that shit when like they're supposed to be this like, oh, I'm like tough and I have this like confidence, but then the second it's like it's just so fragile. And I felt that with my brother when he saw the Barbie movie, and not to blow up his spot, but like
did he not love it?
He hated it.
Shut up.
Did your boyfriend like the Barbie movie?
He loved it.
Okay, good. That's a sign of like a healthy ego, man.
I would have found it really off-putting if he had hated it. Personally, that wouldn't have been cool with me.
It would be problematic.
I wasn't sure if he was gonna love it, because it is just like it's for girls, and so if you're a dude, I don't expect you to feel seen by it the way that I did.
To Greta Gerwig.
Sure, but like if you don't feel seen by it, I wouldn't be mad at you if you had no interest in seeing it. But so I made friends to see it with my best girlfriend, and then he was like really mad. He was like, 90s toys are my things. Like the aesthetic of the Barbie movie is like the shit that I love. Like, I can't believe you wouldn't want to go with me. I was like, I'm so sorry. So he went to see it with his friend who's a dude, and he wore a pink button-down shirt, and they went to see it together and loved it. Loved it. He's like, Ken's wardrobe is my entire aesthetic.
It's so good.
It's so, but he's perfect. My boyfriend is like such, it's crazy listening to other stories women tell about their boyfriends, and it's like, damn, dude. Yeah, like I hate men as a joke.
Yeah.
But I would for sure hate men if I was dating the people you date. But like, my dude is like actually the most supportive. I think the biggest thing is like, I hate the idea of like when a relationship dims their shine. And he's just like not about
that.
It's
the opposite. Yeah. That's
he's
great.
Like wants me to shine as much as possible.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I just feel like there's something about like teaching a man how to have emotions that I can't do, because I've just done it, and I'm like,
and that's fair.
For
me, I like it.
You like it? That's crazy.
in the same way that I think I'd love to be a therapist, though.
Right. You're therapizing your boyfriend.
An interest.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had another question about like when you bomb, when you're after that 50-minute bomb set, what did you do after? How did you recover from that emotionally? Because I like last time I bombed, it literally took me like 3 days to recover. So
the first thing that I did was I went up to the producer of the show. And I was like,
fuck you.
I really tried my best. I hope that was, and she was like, yeah. And I went up to the club owner, and I like said the same thing, obviously, was just like, I really hope you guys had a good night from your end of the show and everything went well for the club.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, that was just a rougher show. But it's always like that he's like, late shows are often pretty rough.
I mean, they saw you crush at the early show. So
absolutely.
Like,
and he still wanted to like have me back, and I'm going to be going back this fall. So he was like, so once I was sure that the producer and the club owner were chill with me, then I was like, I'm sorry, but nobody saw that. I have been flown out. It was my first time ever having a flight paid for and a hotel paid for by a fucking club.
Hell yeah.
So I went back to the fucking hotel, and it was a nicer hotel than I've only ever stayed in motels. So like the fact that it had hallways was a lot to me.
La Quinta Inn.
So and there's in the lobby, there's this like shelves and shit with snacks, and I got a Coors Light and a candy bar and paid for it at the front desk. in the room that had been paid for me by a company. And I was like, I'm living my fucking dreams right now. Okay. I don't give a fuck that I had a bad set. This is great. All I could have ever wanted for so many years of my life. And for the most part, when I bomb, as long as I make sure there's going to be no consequences, like I would be dying with anxiety if I thought that maybe like the show was going to get bad reviews for the venue, or if the venue is mad at me, that would be a problem. But as long as the venue is like, oh well, you weren't funny, no big deal.
And you were funny, it was just the audience that like wasn't.
Well, yeah, they didn't laugh. And I was like, fine.
But it was like you did the same material that you did in the early show. Yeah. You just and
I didn't not try. I tried to pivot. I tried to do the crowd work thing. I tried to act with a lot of energy. I tried to get more deadpan and have them meet me where they were at. And it was like, no, nothing worked. I tried as hard as anybody can. And I feel like really good comics are always like, no, you gotta make all my... And it's like, at the end of the day, I'm just gonna protect my peace. Yeah. And like, yeah, I tried everything. So I did my job. The venue's happy. The producer's happy. We're all good.
You're great. It's not even really a bomb. That's why it's like you kind of like...
No, it was still a bomb. It was a really bad set.
Yeah. Yeah. When I bombed, I just like went in a hole for days.
Really?
Yeah, I was so... Well, it was a different kind of show.
Yeah, emotion did that trigger?
So, well, I'll say it was like... It wasn't a show... It wasn't like a club show or a headlining show or anything, but it was a show where there were people in the audience that I really wanted to... impressed.
So you felt like you had imagined a future where you impressed them, and then that future got ripped away from you.
Yeah.
That's the emotions. Yeah. Was that like you
I love were... You're gonna therapist me?
Well, you were just like investing a lot of yourself in a hypothetical future that didn't prove out to be the one you got.
Pulled away.
And I tried to I really don't daydream about getting opportunities that aren't a sure thing.
Yeah.
Because it's a painful feeling if it turns out to be a no.
Yeah, and most of the time it will.
And it takes like a lot of energy to process all of that.
I just have to never bomb again.
Just never bomb again.
Easy peasy. I'm never... But yeah, I just like blame myself and like, I should have done more, I should have done better, blah, blah, blah.
I always tell my boyfriend also gets really sad when he bombs. And I always say like, there's doing your job and not doing your job, right? Like your job as a comedian is not to crush. Your job as a comedian is to do... vaguely as well as other people on the show. You don't want to be like the one weird spot that did really bad. But like as long as you did like within the realm of as good as the person before and after you, and you didn't piss anybody off, you weren't mean to the audience, you didn't do something that's going to make them review the venue on Google badly or something. And as long as the venue's happy, you did your job. It doesn't matter how bad your set is. Great. Now, on the other hand, if the venue's fucking mad at you, if you pissed off the fucking audience, then it doesn't matter at all how good you might have done. You didn't do your job. Your job was to be entertainment for people to have a good night. And if you fail at that job, it doesn't matter if everybody else in the audience thought you fucking crushed.
Right. Because you still like pissed other people off. Yeah. You pissed the people that are paying you off. Yeah. Well, because the audience is also paying you.
And if you did your job, you should
make everyone happy.
You should go home feeling like, yeah, I did my job today. Great.
Yeah. This is my job.
Yeah.
Well, no, I have a day job too. But I'd like for it to be one day. Okay, I want to transition. Well, first I want to ask you, you're in the middle of the story about your boyfriend and Comedy Works.
Oh, yeah. So
how'd you meet?
So the first time that he got up, so Comedy Works open mic system, it's called New Talent Night. You have to sign up.
We both tried to get up this week and we both didn't.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Because the way that the level that I'm at is called Almost Famous, and you being an out-of-towner, we are at the same system where it has to be via standby. So you have to show up every week and then you just only get on sometimes.
Okay, but you're almost famous.
I'm literally so close to being famous.
I mean, you kind of are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel that way, but thank you.
Yeah.
But so my boyfriend signed up for like 12 weeks in a row and finally got his newbie set.
Nice.
I was backstage. I was hosting that night. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, so
okay. Okay, so he wanted to be a comedian before you guys ever met.
Yeah, he was already open micing and stuff, and he had like seen me on a poster, and he was like, she looks hot, but she looks like a bitch. And and I did. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's...
What's your... Like your headshot looks like you're a bitch.
At the time, the poster that he saw me in, I had like bleach hair, and I just I looked cool as fuck, which also means looking like a bitch.
Yeah,
I wasn't offended by it when he said,
you just looked like a hot person,
and I looked really intimidating to him. And so I came up to him because I was hosting, and I remember thinking like, oh, like he's new, he's like really hot. But my boyfriend is, so I'm 28, he's 33 now, sorry. And he has a collagen disorder, so he looks extraordinarily young. So the first time that I saw him,
what a fun disorder.
Yeah, and he dresses cool too, so there was really he has a mullet, and he dresses cool, and he has really young looking skin, so I was like, this guy could be as young as like 19, quite possibly.
Whoa.
So I was like, absolutely not. I'm not gonna like think he's hot or anything. Name? Yeah, his name is Kellen Duffy.
Kellen Duffy, everybody Google him. I'm gonna Google him after this. Okay, yes.
So yeah, I introduced myself to him. He thought I was attractive. I thought he was attractive, but I thought he was 19. Yeah. So I like didn't try to talk to him.
Right, you're like, this is illegal, but not really. But
I saw him at Comedy Works when he was working another time, and I like walked up to him. I was like, "Oh, hey," because I'd finally gotten his name, and I was like, "How's your like shift going?" And he's like, "I leaned against the brick wall in the back, and now I have a dirty butt."
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's his opening line.
Yeah, I was like, "Okay, slay, goodbye." And
you're like like, who is this child?
And then we like talked a couple more times, and he had bought tickets to John Mayer for an ex. And when the concert finally came around, the ex was out of the picture for a while. And he posted on his story, like, I have an extra ticket. Like, would anyone want to go with me? And then, like, said no to people who responded. And then posted another story about, like, don't make fun of me for liking John Mayer. And that's the one I replied to. Whoa. That was like... And it was like the ploy was to get me to go with him, which is so cute.
Wow. So when he posted it on the story, he was like, I hope Hannah responds. Yeah,
that's why he said no to everybody else.
Wow, I love that.
Because he had liked a couple of he had liked a story where my tits were kind of like, and so it was like, maybe
flirt. And then at this point, did you know he was already older, or you still thought he was 19?
I definitely knew he was older because I asked about him when I was hanging out with other comics. And I said, I also, when I was hanging out with other comics, mentioned that he was hot because they like brought up his age. And I was like, isn't he like 19? And they're like, no. And I was like, oh, well, then I can say he's hot.
Now I can slide into his DMs.
But yeah. So that's the story. It was really sweet.
That's really cute.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so then you went with him to John Mayer, and then that you like knew it was a date at that point, and then you...
No, I kind of thought, well, at John Mayer, I thought it was kind of a date. I thought he maybe liked me, but then he really didn't make a move at all physically. Like, at all. And so then I was like...
Like, not even like a hand on the
literally knee? Nothing.
Wow. Was he scared?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was really nervous. He had a crush on me for a while, so...
Yeah.
Which is like... exactly what I like.
Yeah, but he wasn't. Yeah, and he pursued you, but like not really, kind of. Like you pursued him a little bit.
Just that specific night, he didn't make a move, and then I was like, "Am I getting fucking friend zoned by this guy? Because that would be fucking crazy. Like, what if he just really wants to be friends with me because I'm like an older comic, and he
and you have all these followers."
Yeah, I didn't know, so I was scared of that, and then And then the next time we hung out, we had our first kiss. He sat nervously on my couch for like hours and hours and hours. And finally I had to be like, are you like going to kiss me ever?
It's so funny. Because I feel like now when I date women, it's like, I feel like almost that, like that guy that's just like scared to make any moves.
Really?
Yeah. But But usually I can tell that they want me to at a certain point. I'm like, okay, they want this.
But I feel like I feel like if you have like a hookup that you like don't like, it's like so easy to like make things happen physically.
Right.
When it's just like a random, we went on a first date, there's going to be no second date, but let's go ahead and fuck. It's like so logistically easy. And then when you're with someone that you like really like and you have chemistry, for some reason it's so fucking hard. And it's like, I know we both want it in my heart, but my head is cotton candy right now.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to, and I feel like that's how I like can feel that something's like a little more significant, is it's like, why am I just incapable of making this happen?
That sounds so nice.
Yeah.
I haven't had that
really
in a really long time. Yeah.
Like how long ago?
My last breakup was like, I guess the last time I like was in a relationship was like over a year ago ish now. That's time I started a new relationship.
Yeah.
Was like over a year ago. So that was like and it was also different because like she had seen me on Instagram and she pursued me.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I do like being pursued too. Yeah. I don't know. It's listeners, slide into my DMs, not yours.
Not
you are
mine.
Taken and monogamous.
So slide into mine to buy tickets.
Yes, buy tickets.
Sign up through the fucking Patreon. Slide in through my Patreon and maybe you'll get a response.
And your Patreon.
Yeah.
How is that?
That's good.
I'm starting a Patreon. Patreon listeners.
Yeah. Subscribe to my
Patreon.
Subscribe to mine.
Bonus, both of us at the same time.
There might be nudes on there. Who knows? There's not nudes on there, but
mine has nudes
really?
And feet. I don't know. If you like that, I'll put it up there. I'll put a feet picture.
I once had a guy reach out at a time where I like kind of needed money and ask if I would be willing to sell armpit pics to him. And I was like, yeah, I absolutely fucking will. And
how much did he pay?
Like $100 for like a pic of my armpit. And then I
so
hit him
funny.
up and I was like, do you want any more? And he left me on scent.
That's so funny.
He wanted one armpit pic.
Yeah,
that's
just the one. Did he want like a specific amount of hair on the armpit?
Yeah, he asked for me to not shave for a while. And so then I was like, that's fine. I'll not shave for 2 weeks and then I'll make a bank of them. So I took like pics in a couple different outfits all in one night. And then I shaved my armpits right after that.
Wow.
I just don't give a fuck. Yeah. I have no shame. It's such a problem.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the job of the comedian, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
And I'm like trying to develop having less shame. That's like, well, one of the reasons I love comedy, I think, is because I spent so much time in a lot of shame, and because I grew up religious and whatever, and now I'm just like, this is
what kind of religious? Oh, Jewish. Right, Orthodox Judaism. You had already said.
Yeah. So I'm still working on it.
That is crazy. I grew up fundamentalist Christian, like Duggars, if you're familiar with them.
No, tell me more.
19 Kids and Counting.
What is that?
It's a TV show on TLC. I thought maybe it would ring a bell, but that's okay. It's totally fine.
I thought you were going to be like, you're one of just 19 kids.
Super strict patriarchal, modest dress, get married, and pump out children as fast as you can. That was kind of the community that I was raised in. In
Colorado?
No, in North Carolina.
Damn. That's intense. So we probably have very similar traumas in that.
Yeah, it like comes up in weird ways.
Yeah. Ooh. Tell me.
Like well, so I kind of like began the phase. Sorry, I have to like my hip is. Let me figure this out. Okay.
Adjust.
Cut this all out.
No, we're gonna keep all of it.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
So
we're good.
So the way that it will come out is that like I stopped really believing in God in so many terms, like so when I was 16, or let's say when I was 14, I kind of like started not really loving the community I was brought up in, and I started finding like theologists that would look at the Bible from a feminist lens and say it's like really like the Bible is not as patriarchal as a lot of like church leaders and theologists would lead us to believe, especially if you pay attention to the differences in translations. Like there's a lot of reason to believe why the Bible being translated in a patriarchal society is where it got all its patriarchy from. But so that was kind of the first step, and then
how did you find that as a fortune
on the internet, dude?
Wow.
Just blogs.
So you just had.
There's this woman called Rachel Held Evans. She's a Jesus feminist, is what she's got, and she's no longer with us.
Oh, sorry.
And
R.I.P.
She was responsible for so much of my education. I think my sister showed her to me, and she was responsible for so much of my like independence intellectually. And then I showed her to my mom, and she's, I think, a big reason why my mom was able to get on the track of her own independence and divorcing my abusive dad.
Whoa.
And she showed it to other women in the community, and other women divorced their abusive piece of shit husbands. So like, these women are, because that's the thing, is that you can't just jump from your abusive husband and patriarchal worldview to radical feminism. You need like someone who's going to be willing to say like, what if the Bible and feminism are actually like cooperative?
Like bring their own education system.
Meet them where they're at.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So then when
I got Women Talking?
No, what's that?
It's a film. It's a terrible name. It's like no one wants to listen to women talk. But it's about like a Mennonite community of women who are just like abused by their husbands, and then they have to. They're not educated. They don't. They can't like. They don't even know like what's going on, and they have to decide whether they're gonna leave.
A family friend of ours had this saying growing up, because they had limited funds and they had a lot of kids, which is always because you have one income and like 8 fucking kids. No
birth control.
And they always said, the girls get braces and the boys go to college. We can't pay for braces for everybody, and we can't pay for college for everybody. But if we're going to invest in our kids' futures, then we're going to get the girls fuckable, and we're going to get the boys jobs.
Smart. Yeah.
So that's
where you grew up.
Yeah. But I was able to go to college. My mom really raised us with a lot of like skills that would allow us. I was just talking to my mom about this today, like within our community, which was really fucked up. She did a remarkable job giving me and my sister the skills to be able to get on our own journey out of there. Even if she didn't reject the community outright, she set in motion the fact that we would.
Yeah.
And she has since
She's
rejected
left.
that community.
Okay.
And so then once I got to college, I was kind of like over it. I was just kind of over the core part of Protestantism. It's specifically the version I was raised with, is the idea that like humans have a sin nature. So like everything you think, feel, every deep desire, every instinct you have is innately against God. So anytime you experience any sort of pleasure, it is wrong at the end of the day. Like any dopamine rush ever is just wrong in the eyes of God, and I was so sick of it.
What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to like just like be sexless, food, like just like be a monk.
You're allowed to enjoy food, but you're just not allowed to enjoy food enough to become gluttonous. You know, you're just bad all the time, and the only salvation is through God, and it's so fucking exhausting. And I was over it, so I became like into universalism for a while, which is like all religions kind of touch on the idea that there's something out there, and I don't know what it is, and he probably doesn't care if I fuck. You know, that is a gross oversimplification of universalism.
That's the key, that no one really cares if you fuck. And that you should.
Well, yeah, because I was in college. I wanted to have foursomes.
Exactly.
I wanted to lick a girl's pussy while she was standing up.
Yeah. Try to lick a girl's pussy.
And by the time I got out of college, I was done with all of it.
Yeah.
I was just like, the church that I grew up in is a capitalist institution. It's a way that men move around wealth. That's it.
Yeah. I guess. Is it a rich church? Because some churches are like fucking like what you're saying, like businesses.
There are definitely churches that are community based, and I think mostly in other types of Christianity do a good job of being more community centric. I think like Jewish religion does a good job of like being community centric. But like white Southern Protestantism, by and large, I would say 90% of those churches are instruments of capital. Their purpose is to move capital around. And they do a terrible job of being a community institution that brings people together. They do a terrible job of supporting people. They do a terrible job of providing some like imaginary social safety net that they're supposed to be, as opposed to the state. And it's just capital.
Yeah. And they're capital and molesting little boys.
Yeah.
That's kind of their shtick, from what I hear.
Catholics in particular, but
sorry.
Protestantism, they molest the little girls a lot more than the little boys.
Really?
Yeah, it's Catholics that are always molesting little boys, and I think it's just because of the proximity thing.
What a good note.
But like the church, the Duggars, the program that the Duggars were a part of has like always had huge scandals of molesting little girls. And like I knew so many girls my age in this community that was not very large. You know, we could like barely hang on to our varsity soccer team because we barely had enough players. Yeah. I knew so many girls who had been molested. I knew so many girls who ran away from home. And when I got older, I got older, I was like, yeah, you know how everyone has like 5 friends that ran away from home and you just never heard from them again? And it's like, no, actually in public schools, that's really kind of rare. Yeah. It's kind of noteworthy if someone just successfully runs away from home.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Do you talk about that in your act? That's so interesting.
The consensus from audiences is that it's a little bit too depressing. I've always tried and I think it would feel really fulfilling, but I just want to make people laugh, and sometimes it's too hard to try to get them to laugh at that kind of stuff because it gets dark really fast. It's a dark setting to raise a child in.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the molesting little girls is hard to make funny, but I feel like
especially because I wasn't molested.
Ooh, see, if you were molested, then it would be better.
And I was like one of the only ones.
Well, maybe that's so the joke.
Embarrassing.
Like, yeah, exactly. That's funny. I don't know. I struggle with that too, of like, or maybe you don't struggle with it, but like the balance between making people laugh and also just wanting to kind of share my story and having that be really fulfilling, and then having people come up to me after I do share my story and being like, oh, I have a similar story, and like that, to me, that's the best.
I feel like comedy is an interesting art form because it's theoretically about self-expression, but the more you get into it, the more you kind of learn that it's a little bit more like a sport than an art form. Ooh. It's just like the skill set of making people laugh, and it feels like you can get lucky and you can get glimpses into true self-expression. It's like, I wanted to write a joke about this and I did, but most of the time, if you like set out to write a joke about something, it's like not what the audience wants. The audience wants you to like stumble upon the thing that is like, oh, I didn't realize that was universal, kind of thing. So I feel most at peace when I'm like not trying, because I don't want to be disappointed that someone rejected my self-expression. And the thing is that if people aren't laughing at it, you can't keep it in your act, and that's such a bummer.
I know.
But it's like, at the end of the day, the audience gets to decide. I feel like comedy is self-expression in the sense that I threw all this shit on the wall, and then the audiences that I've performed in front of them in like the past 6 years got to pick which shit stayed on the wall.
I like that.
But yeah.
Do you, because you also have, and then we're going to transition into secrets.
Wait.
Which, because I know we're
sorry, this got so deep.
I love that shit. Clearly.
Good.
Yeah. And I think my 2 listeners also love that shit. They tell me they like that shit.
Slay.
Yeah. Hello, 2 listeners.
Hi.
We'll see. Maybe there's more than 2. What was I going to say? Okay, we're going to cut this part out. Between your because you're really great with posting online, and like your reception online is really great, and how do you differentiate like writing for TikTok, like a content, versus like writing for a stand-up?
I used to not differentiate it at all. When I first started on the internet, what was happening was that COVID had just hit and there were no open mics in town.
Wow.
But I already wrote jokes every day. So instead of writing jokes and taking them to the open mic, I would just write jokes and put them on TikTok. It was just me delivering jokes to the camera, just like I would on a stage. And then as time went on, I started to want to not burn all my material because the audience became very real. They were at shows. They were buying tickets. And I was like, I could tour. So it's like, well, I need to make sure that everyone hasn't seen like all of my act. And it's like, then quite frankly, if an Instagram follower comes to mind, there's probably going to be a few jokes that they've seen before. I think, but realistically, they probably aren't going to have seen more than a third of my act. It would be really weird if they had.
I feel like people, in my experience and that limited experience I have, like when I do a joke that they've seen, they kind of like it. They're like, oh, I know this.
If they've seen it like one time and they love the joke, they like, I've definitely seen, I was doing a college show once and it was the first, it was like, I knew that the numbers were big online, but I hadn't really seen it in person a ton. And I was doing this college show and I started to deliver this joke, which happened to be one of my most viral jokes on the internet. And I saw a bunch of girls go like,
yes, exactly.
And I was like, wait, that's so cool. And then the joke got a huge laugh, even though like so many pockets of girls were like, oh, I know this one. And it's like, wow, that's so, I mean, it's remarkable how much comedy has changed, right? Because like 3 years ago, you would have told a comedian, like a working comedian, that I burn all my fucking material,
but
and then I'm still trying to go tour, and apparently somehow I'm gonna try to have a career. They would be like, you're the stupidest girl I've ever seen.
They'd be like, you're not a real comedian, you're an Instagram comedian.
But it's like, but there's realistically no other way for me to get traction.
Well, that's why people do like lots of crowd work clips so they don't burn their material.
And nowadays people hate those because it's so oversaturated. But so to answer your question, it used to be just like me delivering my stand-up jokes, and then now 90% of what is online is going to be sketches that are kind of like more tailored to like online, and it's like something that wouldn't really work as a stand-up joke because it would be too hard to explain it, or there'll be like visual gags that only work on like I'll use a filter or something. So it's a lot more internet jokes, which is just like by virtue of being a person on the internet for so many years. And
you're really good at it. That's something that
thank you so much.
I'm trying to aspire inspiration into that as well.
It's fun. I always say to people that you should only try to put all your time and energy into the internet if you like the internet. But like for me, I've been on the internet since I was like 14. I had a YouTube channel. I had internet friends. That's so cute. I just like genuinely love
welcome to my
content creation on the internet. And I hate when comics are like, oh, I guess I have to post clips now if I want to have a career. It's like, that's not how it works. You can still succeed in all the old ways that there's always been. There's just one new additional way. And it's really helpful for girls like me who would never have caught the eye of a traditional, like no agents fucking want me. No festivals fucking want me.
Really?
But the internet does. Well, I haven't applied to a festival in a long time. But like,
I'm sure you can get in festivals.
But
yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think like the old school way of doing it really worked for a very certain kind of bro-y guy.
Yeah, I don't have to wait until a headliner wants to take me on the road because headliners don't really love me. They don't vibe with me a lot of the time, and that's fine.
Fuck them.
Because there are other ways to succeed.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Okay, let's transition into our little secrets.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, I'll go first because unless you want to go.
No, you go first.
Okay, I'll go. It's actually happened in Denver. It's a fun secret, I think. Okay, so I came here by myself, and I like to make friends. So the way I talk to people when I'm in a random city is either through like comedy or Jewish community. So there are actually a lot of Jews in Denver.
Wait, really?
Is crazy because they were all in one spot in one night, and I found them all.
There's a neighborhood.
Yes. I don't know the neighborhood of it, but it was like there was a big Shabbat dinner.
Word.
Shabbat. Sabbath.
Yes, familiar.
Yeah, whatever. It's just like a Friday night dinner.
Yes.
It was a big event. It was $85. It was an open bar. It was like food.
$85 for an open bar and lots of food is good.
It's not bad. But I really wanted to go, but the tickets were sold out.
Ah, damn.
Because I didn't know about it till really late. So I just walked up. Like I waited outside the little venue. And I like saw a group of people walking in. I just like walked in with them like a little bit kind of on the side, and then as they like went up to register, the thing is, when I went, I was gonna try to like see if I could just buy a ticket at the door, but when I saw that they were distracted, I was just like fuck it, and I just I just zoomed in.
That's so fucking cool.
I snuck into Shabbat.
That's such a vibe. I love people who like can move through the world like that, because I am not.
It's rare. I'll say it's not what I normally do, but I did feel like that rush of like, holy shit, I got in.
That's fucking cool.
And then in that second, I saw a guy that I matched with on Hinge. Like literally as I was walking in, which was well, at the time I was like, is he gonna yell at me or is he friendly? But he was
maybe he's gonna like yell at you in like a friendly way.
Yeah, sexy way. But I'll say like the weird thing was that I really wasn't attracted to him at all, and I only just matched. Well, I hope he doesn't watch this. He probably won't. I only matched with him because his opening line was like, "Oh, you do comedy? I want to come see you at a show."
He's gonna listen.
No, he's not. If he's listening, I think you're great, and I really enjoy.
I think you're hot. I don't know what you look like. I'm sorry, but
he's not hot. But I literally told him this. I was like, "Your Hinge pictures suck," and I thought he was hotter in real life.
Great.
His Hinge pictures.
Okay.
But the only reason I matched with him was because he opened up with that I want to come to a show. And then he didn't come. Fuck you. I can say whatever I want about him.
Well, you met him at. So he walks up to you. Yeah. You think he might yell at you.
Yeah. And then he was like, oh my God, did we just match? Did we match on Hinge today? And because it's like literally every single Jew in Denver went to that event. So like he was like, I've seen so many Hinge matches at this event.
Oh, he's got a weird vibe.
Yeah. But he's a bit weird, but he was like an entertaining weird. Oh, and then his cousin by the end of the night jumped into the pool fully nude. So not him, but like his.
So it was at a place with a pool.
It was a place. Oh yeah. I saw you a picture. It was cool.
That's so fucking cool. Yeah, you guys are so...
Jews are cool. I can't lie.
I remember when I was really young, I think I like met my first Jewish person, because again, raised in a super religious community. I did not meet a lot of... Oh my God, that's fucking nice. I developed like a weird, uncool idolatry. It's like too much pro-Semitism. It's actually uncomfortable.
Like fetishizing.
Like, you know those dudes who play sports and in high school, they're like pretty obsessed with black people, and they start talking in a little bit of AAVE.
Yeah.
Like those kids, and it's like, you gotta stop.
Yeah, no, it's not cool.
It takes a lot of nuance to explain to you what's wrong with like loving black culture too much.
But you're really good at that.
For me, it's like a little bit. It's like I feel the same way about Jewish people.
Oh my God,
like the idea.
You've been playing it so cool.
The idea of religion that's centered around community and the way that the family unit, and it's like very matriarchal, and just like everything about it, it feels like the exact opposite of what I was raised with. And the idea that you could have religion that has all the opposite components is like so sick to me. But
yeah, well, I'll say it's very patriarchal. It's very, very patriarchal.
Then why do all of you... I feel like a lot of people say it's very matriarchal.
It's absolutely... I mean, the Orthodox version is very patriarchal.
Right.
Men literally control everything.
And I don't vibe with the Orthodox version as much as I vibe with the regular
version. Okay, fine. That's fair. Yeah. Well, Jews would be like... Orthodox Jews would be like, the Orthodox Judaism is the real Judaism, because that's the Judaism that's been practiced for thousands of years.
And respect.
I'm just like, fuck you. Yeah. But like, there is a lot of patriarchy aspects to it, even in the regular Judaism. But I think people are definitely trying to change that and like not be as whatever. But then I'm gonna leave this on a cliffhanger for my next episode. But I met a girl that night at the Shabbat dinner.
Yeah.
And stuff happened, so that's gonna be...
You had a hookup story?
That's gonna be my next secret.
I don't
Listeners,
get it.
stay tuned. I'll tell you after the pod.
Okay.
Oh, maybe, you know what? Oh, maybe I'll save it for the Patreon. We'll see.
That's
Patreon.
You're
Subscribe
really
to the
good
Patreon.
At cliffhangers. Yeah. If I was single, I'd have so much good stories.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm gonna stay single just for the stories of the pod.
My story this week is that I had missionary sex with my boyfriend again. We were both kind of tired, but it was really good. My cat tried to grab his hair.
You moved slowly back and forth until one person came, and then you fell asleep.
No, it's not. Our sex is not boring. But like when you're in a relationship, you know how you sometimes have boring sex, and that's one of the like fun things about it is that like, oh, we can just have boring sex sometimes if we want to, if we're both tired. Okay.
Yes.
Oh right. So my secret.
Yes, you tell us your secret.
Okay. It's not even recent. Okay, so backstory to this secret. I have a joke that's been in my act for like a really long time about getting eaten out, and the premise of the joke is that you like get a dude to like eat you out for a really long time by saying that you're about to come. That's and funny. Like continuing to say that you're about to come forever, so they always think you're about to come and they keep going.
That joke last night.
Thank you. Yeah. It was a really fun joke, and when I wrote it several years ago, I think it was funny for like different reasons than it's funny now. Like it was definitely during the era of like unreciprocated head is like the thing, and it was really like the moment in culture. It was like dudes were not eating girls out, and everyone was like, let's wait. And I just thought it was so funny, the idea of like women being like deceptive and manipulative during sex, because usually only men do that.
Yeah.
So that's the like reason that it was funny back then. And like now my secret is, okay, so because I do this joke, it's been my closer for a while, and I've just done it a lot. If fans hit on me after the show, they would frequently reference that joke. They'd be like, I want to like eat you out. I could eat you out forever. Like my tongue has a lot of endurance. Like they will always reference that joke and the idea that I like to be eaten out 4 hours.
That's insanely bold.
And specifically in the joke, I say 3 hours, and a lot of guys like reference that line. Like to me, the funniness of that line is like, no girl wants to be eaten out for like actually 3 hours because you wouldn't feel anything down there.
Yeah.
Like maybe stop and start, sure, but like not actually, even just like straight, like not more than a few minutes, because you gotta switch it up.
I don't love head.
That's my secret.
No way.
Even my boyfriend will sometimes make a joke about that, because he loves to do whatever to bring me pleasure. And I think I came to the conclusion the other day, I was like, I honestly think I don't really like getting eaten out that much.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really my thing.
That's such a great secret.
I would prefer fingers 10 times out of 10 to a tongue, and I would prefer most things to a tongue, to be honest. I think tongue would be probably lowest on my rank of
enjoyment. The thing that I think, like, I love a good clit stimulator.
Yeah.
But not with tongue. Like, it's not...
I just don't like...
No, don't get me wrong. I love head. But it's not like the thing for me.
Yeah, I like it for like a second.
Yeah.
And then after a second, it feels weird. I think that just like having someone be so far away from me, maybe it's because I have a long torso, but it just feels like he's in like another room. Like, it's like, hey,
and that's
do you want to come
threesome.
back to where I
am? Come over here.
Yeah.
Hello.
And he's always down to, and I'm always down to for a little bit, but to me, it just doesn't feel like a main course thing at all. And it never, especially like with women, it never has either. Like fingers can feel like a great main course to me, but
fingers
not
and tongue.
I thought you were going to say fingers and toes.
Yep, fingers and toes.
Well,
and
yeah,
eyeballs.
if there's tongue with no fingers, just fucking leave, honestly.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize
that's
that.
The thing, because I think the thing I like about the fingers is, I think I like about getting eaten out is that they usually finger you too at the same time. Like it literally, I don't like it that much, and I feel sometimes like a fraud when I tell that joke after I had this realization, because I've gotten so many DMs over the years, so many, because I've been doing that joke for almost as long as I've been doing comedy. It was like one of my first really good jokes, and I kind of love that it still works.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I've changed it so much over the years, but like, I've gotten so many DMs and I don't even like getting eaten out.
That's so funny. Maybe that's part of your...
And my boyfriend saw my act before we got together and was like under the impression that
I was going to
be...
eat you out for 4 hours.
Well, he's like, good thing I'm really good at giving head. I'm perfect for her.
So funny.
And it's like...
Nope.
Just for a little bit, if at all.
Yeah. Don't even look. Just don't even look at me down there.
Yeah.
Just like go, yeah. Wow, it's a little bit, you're living a double life. You're in the closet about the fact that you don't like head.
Yeah. Well, I'm out
not
of it
anymore. Now we know the secret. Now you're out.
That's my secret.
That's a good one, Hannah.
Thank
I like
you.
that one a lot. That's like, honestly, if I had to rate all the secrets,
I also think that, like, I think that this is quite possibly projecting, tell me if I'm wrong, but like general non-men people, I feel like we went through a cultural moment where like blowjobs have always been all the rage because dudes love blowjobs, okay? And I think that we the idea was like, we want reciprocated head. So we were like, you should be eating her out, specifically because dudes were always like so weirdly unwilling to eat girls out. Yeah. And we were all like, no, you should do it because you shouldn't be fucking weird about it. And I think it's like,
they were like nasty about it. They were like, oh, it doesn't taste, it smells down there.
I would never be with a dude who was unwilling to do it.
Right.
And I think that culturally we kind of pretended to like it more than we actually do. And I think we kind of gave dudes the impression that it is like a more beloved sexual act than it is. Like, we don't like it on average. If I would put money on this, that we don't like it as much as dudes like blowjobs.
Hot take. I don't know. I just think blowjobs are gross. Separately.
I don't.
Really?
I like them.
Whoa.
Again, for a second, not for too long.
Okay.
I think they're a great appetizer, like a salad course.
Yeah. Well, I think guys were weird about blowjobs with like, because I feel like they'd be like very pressury about it. That's like,
yeah. Well, and I had blowjob trauma for a while because I once had my head shoved down. Yeah. Very painfully, and so for a while it was like something I couldn't handle. But like now I like it.
Well, it's probably because you have a nice partner who makes you like it.
Yeah. Makes me like it.
He makes you push you down. You like this blowjob now. Well, that's so interesting.
I also did like a lot of healing before I met my current partner, so it wasn't like it was all at once, but
yeah. Okay, I want to keep talking about head and blowjobs, but I think we kind of have to go to our shows.
Yeah.
Anything you want to plug?
You can follow me at Hannah Jones Cool.
Yeah. Our Hannah Jones Cool 1 on TikTok.
Yeah, I also have a podcast. If you're a podcast fan and you like this one, I would say it's similar. Ooh. We give people advice, like Dear Abby style.
I do advice questions, but we don't have time.
Fair enough.
We don't have time.
Anyway, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Literally, like 2 hours ago, I was like, Hannah, I need an episode for the podcast. Please come to the podcast. Yeah, and you did it, and you're great.
Absolutely.
And, thank you so much.
Thank you, dude.